Comic fans, what's going on? It's Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Today, I wanted to talk about a Marvel Omnibus, something that doesn't happen too often on this channel. Black Panther, the early years. Recent Omnibus put out by Marvel contains a lot of first appearance and future appearances of Black Panther, Fantastic Four, a lot of other titles. And then it gets into some of the jungle action stuff that Don McGregor did, which I personally really enjoy. Can't wait to talk about that. Can't wait to fully get to reread this bad boy. I'm very excited to talk about it, though. If you're looking for a place to get this book, check out our sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. The best place to go, in our opinion, for Omnis, Absolutes, Deluxe Editions, trade paperbacks, book stands, I think even books now at this point. Amazing resource for quality reading material, amazing shipping, customer service. You can pre-order. There are some books that, will be special order or damaged copies for an extra discount on top of the already amazing discounts, plus the promo codes you've been seeing on the screen up until this point. Now let's go take a look at the book. We'll look at the art. We'll talk about the story a little bit, what it collects, what I think of the collection in general from a production standpoint. Let's do it. Another Marvel Omnibus for the collection. I'm a fan of the Black Panther as a character, as a concept. A lot of the stories I've read with Black Panther are fantastic. The Christopher Priest run, of course. I haven't read the Coates run. I know an Omnibus was recently released for that as well, so I may check that out. I do love Brian Stelfreeze's artwork, but we'll see what happens. Today we're looking at the early years Omnibus. So this is collecting a lot of early appearances of Black Panther. Here's everything it collects. We'll look at the table of contents as well. Classic Marvel design on the dust jacket, the Omnibus itself. Nothing all that exciting. Kind of just basic stuff. But this collects, like I said, a lot of early appearances, and then Jungle Action 6 through 24 by Don McGregor, which was kind of the unofficial ongoing for Black Panther at the time. This is all kind of 70s era comics. You've got a lot of amazing writers. Stan Lee, of course. Don McGregor, who I've mentioned. Roy Thomas is in there as well. Joined by a plethora of really good artists that were at the time working on other titles like Daredevil, things like that. So you got Jack Kirby, John Buscema, Sal Buscema as well, Barry Windsor Smith, Gene Colan, Gil Kane, plus many more. A lot of incredible artists working on this title, and with the variety in writers, you get a lot of different styles for the character of Black Panther. And truthfully, the coolest thing about this omnibus, I haven't read all of it just yet, but one of the cool things about it is kind of seeing the character grow and evolve over time throughout all these appearances. Teaming up with various characters, various teams, being involved in various teams. It's great stuff. It's a nice exploration of a character. The variety in these stories and the titles that Black Panther showed up in also kind of keeps things exciting for you as a reader. You get to see him interact, like I said, with all these other characters. I really like it. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the Roy Thomas, Stan Lee stuff. Nothing against them. They, of course, are legends. They built the foundation of comic books that for what comic books are today. Without them, all the comics that I really love, the Grant Morrison work, the Alan Moore work, the Jeff Lemire work, and many other individuals' work would probably not exist, or would maybe not have taken place. So I'll always have respect for that, but it's just very verbose for me. There's a lot of talking, a lot of text in some of these earlier comics, a lot of exposition, things like that just kind of gets boring and kind of gets repetitive for you as a reader, for me as a reader personally. But I will say, the turning point for me on this book, without a doubt. Now, while there are some really good issues of Black Panther showing up and being part of these teams, none of it really clicks or gets all that exciting until Don McGregor takes over with the Jungle Action title. Wow, that is the reason. The true reason I picked this book up is for Jungle Action. I'd read a lot of Don McGregor's run, a lot of it on Comixology. I think at one point, I don't know if this was a glitch or just because the movie was coming up, but at one point, I think Prime had a ton of Black Panther books for like $0. So I just got a bunch of them, added them to my Comixology through Amazon Kindle or whatever it was called. And Don McGregor's Black Panther run was part of that. And just, you know, it was 70s comics. It's a 70s comic. And for me, the 70s, they're not all like this, but they're relatively corny, relatively, full of exposition, very super heroic, very out there with crazy characters and crazy situations. But Jungle Action was an incredible, incredible story. It felt very grounded. It felt like it was moving away from that weird, over the top, super heroic stuff, and it had this tone and this atmosphere to it that was almost, it felt junglish. It felt wild in a way, and it's beautiful. It's poetic. The artwork is incredible. The tone of this series is fantastic. It's serious with just enough humor and lightheartedness. Looking at the great thing about it was it explored T'Challa in Wakanda, how he's dealing with his kingdom, how he's dealing with the people of Wakanda, the politics of Wakanda, dealing with villages and areas that he may not explore, going outside of Wakanda as well, having to deal with that. It's a way more fascinating look, in my opinion, at the character than what was happening in all the issues where Black Panther would show up and team up with Captain America or whatever it may be. And it blew me away. It blew me away. So when I saw this omnibus was coming out, I just knew I'd have to pick it up for the Don McGregor work. Just absolutely amazing. I'll definitely be picking up the Christopher Priest run as well, because that's a pretty legendary run as well, and it would be nice to have that collected in an oversized omnibus format. But I'm so thrilled to reread this Don McGregor stuff, continue reading the earlier stuff, get a full picture of where Black Panther came from and how he's evolved over the years, over the 70s especially, compared to how far he's come now, to a point where he was my favorite character in Jonathan Hickman's run on New Avengers. Just such an incredibly powerful, monumental character with this deep-rooted legacy of generations and generations of Black Panthers, this culture that's embedded into the character. And that's really why I love the Don McGregor run, is the exploration of that culture, the evolution and development of that culture, of who the Black Panther is, of how he deals with situations, which you also get to see expanded on in the Christopher Priest run, where you sort of see the fine line that T'Challa walks as Black Panther, and sometimes his morality is, his morality may not be for everyone, but he's firm with it. His people are firm with it, and he respects his people. It's really great. It's really fantastic. I would never think that a 70s comic would make me feel the way that Don McGregor's Jungle Action did. So I personally very, very much enjoyed it. Maybe it's the artwork by Gil Kane and all the other artists involved as well, but it reminded me of something like the 70s Master of Kung Fu title, which is also incredible. I really regret selling those Omnis. That was such a fantastic series, a fantastic set of Omnis as well, but it's got that sort of tone to it, like a reading McGregor, Don McGregor's Black Panther run was kind of like, it's kind of like reading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing for me, where I was just so blown away that I didn't think I'd get to see a character deal with the sort of ambiance that Black Panther deals with in the Don McGregor run. You get to see characters like, I think is it Dr. Macabre? A bunch of characters. I'm forgetting now. It's been a long time. Killmonger's in there as well. A lot of really, really interesting villains that are more based in the sort of historical culture of the Africa continent. Very, very cool stuff. It's a very different superhero title that I really enjoyed, not just silly super heroics, but the best thing about this omnibus is seeing the evolution to that phase and what's to come in the future. Are you going to pick up this omnibus? What do you think? I'm very excited for it. I highly recommend you check it out if you want to know more about Black Panther. I want to thank you all very much for tuning in. Until next time, as always, You stay classy, internet.